Serial killers and true crime have become ingrained in our society and our interests. Over the past few years, streaming services like Netflix have created numerous documentaries and docuseries about the subject, while true crime podcasts have seen a surge in popularity as well. Most of these cover well-known serial killers and crimes, but what about those that lurk in the shadows? Number 5. Randy Stephen Kraft is one of the USA's most terrifying serial killers, yet very few people know about his crimes. Between 1972 and 1983, Kraft murdered at least 16 men in California, leading him to be named the Southern California Strangler by the media. Kraft was born in Long Beach, California in 1945, and by all accounts had an unremarkable childhood. People who grew up alongside Kraft noted that he was politically very conservative and was extremely intelligent, later testing with an IQ of 129. However, as he grew older, Kraft changed. Just 1 year after campaigning for Republican candidate Barry Goldwater, Kraft got himself a job at a gay bar, something that was irreprehensible to him just a year ago. But before we continue, I wanted to let you know that this video is sponsored by Cashman Casino Las Vegas Slots. You can check out Cashman Casino right now and play an incredible new game, as well as support the channel. Cashman Casino is one of the most amazing new mobile games, including free Vegas slots and classic slot games. You can win big with Mr. Cashman's online slot machine casino game made by Aristocrat. The all-new launch of this game includes Timberwolf Diamond, which is an amazing seasonal theme, showing off beautiful snow-covered cabins and more. The Timberwolf game has been running strong for several years, but the Diamond family adds a fresh new twist on this classic title, giving you access to even more free games. Aristocrat, the same people that brought you Heart of Vegas, Lightning Link Casino, and more, are now bringing you even more amazing real casino experiences that you can take wherever you go. These are some of the most incredible slot games that Aristocrat offers, and it brings classic games like 777 slots straight to your home, giving you the real Las Vegas experience wherever you are. So what are you waiting for? Check out Cashman Casino today and join the online Facebook community, filled with other players you can compete with. You can watch your big wins erupt with the super popular Pompeii slots, enter the exotic world of Africa and the African Dusk online slot games, or even strike gold with huge jackpots in Where's the Gold, another popular slot game. Download Cashman Casino right now using the link in the description, and you'll get 1 million coins, plus a 2x experience booster that lasts for up to 3 hours. You'll even get a 15% coin shop boost that lasts 6 hours, all just for signing up. Start spending today for the best online experience, unlike any other. But let's get back to the video. It seems that Kraft matured and went through online college, and he started finding out who he really was. He enrolled at Claremont's Men's College, and by the end of his studies, he was becoming more open about being homosexual. As he got older, his behavior began getting odder and odder, and those closest to him began to notice. During his time at college, Kraft would be stricken with migraines and stomach pains, forcing him to fall behind in his studies. When illness wasn't causing Kraft to fall behind, it was his partying. Kraft preferred sleeping through the day and partying well into the night, which almost cost him his degree. By the time he'd graduated, Kraft was accustomed to a lifestyle of partying and encounters with men. Shortly after he graduated, he got a job as a computer programmer, and soon after, the killing started. The people of California were left stunned after bodies of young men began appearing on the side of freeways and throughout the state. The men had either been shot or strangled to death, and it was clear that they'd suffered many injuries that are too violent to even speak of. Most of these young men had been picked up by Kraft at gay bars in California, though some were known to be drifters or members of the military. Police got a lucky break in the Southern California Strangler case on May 14, 1983, when Kraft was pulled over on the San Diego freeway after officers noticed he was driving dangerously, and they wanted to pull him over for a breathalyzer test. As police approached the car, they were met with the sight of a deceased male who was later identified as 25-year-old Terry Gambrell. Terry was placed in the passenger seat and had a jacket over him to make it look as though he was sleeping. Kraft was swiftly arrested, and when police searched his home, they found a list that contained cryptic names such as deodorant or New Year's Eve. These were all direct references to his victims. Kraft later explained that this was his scorecard and he'd intended to claim even more lives. Randy Stephen Kraft stalked California's gay bars and communities for over a decade, claiming at least 61 victims. For his crimes, Kraft was sentenced to the death penalty, though he's currently serving time at the infamous San Quentin prison. Kraft is largely forgotten in a sea of similar crimes that have happened in the area during that time, though one thing is for sure: the families of the 61 victims will never forget the name Randy Stephen Kraft. Number 4. On March 28, 2020, Lonnie David Franklin Jr. made headlines around the world after he was found unresponsive in his San Quentin death row cell. But many around the world were left asking, who is Lonnie David Franklin Jr., also known as the Grim Sleeper? Franklin prowled the streets of Los Angeles, California between 1985 and 2007. He regularly targeted women from low-income areas and who engaged in risky behaviors, believing that they were less likely to be reported missing. However, when the bodies of several women were discovered in dumpsters around the LA area in the 1980s, the LAPD announced to the public that they believed they were hunting a serial killer. Many residents of the low-income communities chastised police for not providing adequate surveillance and for their slow progress in catching the killer. Franklin's name, the Grim Sleeper, comes from the fact that between 1988 and 2002, he took a break, with people viewing this as the serial killer sleeping, ready to be woken up again at any point. It's possible that Franklin did take a break for 14 years, or that he changed his MO and continued to a different area to avoid detection. In 2002, it became apparent that the Grim Sleeper had awoken and once again was targeting women in Los Angeles. However, this time the LAPD had science and technology on their side. Since the initial murders, DNA and other forensic techniques have come a long way, and police were able to send samples for analysis. Using familial DNA, Franklin was identified as the Grim Sleeper, and he was arrested and taken into police custody. Finally, the residents of Los Angeles felt safe once again, knowing that another monster was off the streets. Franklin was handed down the death penalty, however, he passed away in 2020 before this could be enacted. Number 3. This next case takes us all the way back to the 1760s in Jamaica. In the 1760s, a Scotsman by the name of Lewis Hudgenson immigrated to Jamaica after accepting a job offer to look after a large home called the Edinburgh Castle. Hudgenson brought with him wealth along with trouble. Residents began noticing that cattle and livestock had been going missing and appearing at the Edinburgh Castle. However, it wouldn't be just animals that Hudgenson would prey on. Soon enough, travelers began disappearing at an alarming rate after being on the grounds of the Edinburgh Castle in St. Anne's Bay. Hudgenson revealed that he began hunting humans for sport and found that it gave him a thrill. He explained that he would wait until the travelers were taking a break on the vast open landscape before shooting them where they stood. He would then move his victims' bodies into a sinkhole, which became known as the Hudgenson Hole. Other times, he would place remains inside of trees or simply leave the remains to be devoured by animals. People in the area were too afraid of Hudgenson to take action because they feared of becoming victims themselves. Many stories were circulating at the time about Hudgenson and his misdeeds, forcing locals to stay well away from his land. Hudgenson's hunt was over when he shot an Englishman who fled to his ship and reported the incident to the Royal Navy. Hudgenson was captured by the British Royal Navy and sentenced for his crimes. Upon searching his property, 43 watches along with numerous items of clothing were found. However, the official victim count is still highly debated. Hudgenson was sentenced to death, and this was carried out in 1773. Number 2. William Devon Howell, also known as the Sick Ripper, is one of Connecticut's most prolific serial killers. Between January and October of 2003, Howell claimed the lives of 7 people by luring them in with the promise of alcohol before strangling them. Most of Howell's victims had substance abuse issues, and investigators believe that he purposefully targeted these women as he knew they were vulnerable and less likely to be in contact with family, meaning they were less likely to be reported missing. Howell's crimes only uncovered when he was arrested and charged with the murder of 33-year-old Nilsa Arizmendi. Initially, police believed that Arizmendi's boyfriend had killed her, though after he passed a polygraph test, he was ruled out and police began looking at other suspects. Arizmendi's boyfriend told police that the pair had been living at a motel in Wethersfield. He also told them a name of William Howell, who had spent the evening in their motel after purchasing services from Arizmendi. Her boyfriend testified that Arizmendi left the hotel room at around 2:30 a.m. and got into Howell's van on January 25, 2003. Her body wouldn't be discovered until April of 2015. Howell's van was searched, and investigators found blood from 2 different people in the cushions and carpet, which was enough for them to charge him with first-degree manslaughter after the blood was identified to 99% certainty of belonging to Arizmendi. Howell was sentenced to 15 years in prison in early 2007. Just a week later, a shocking new twist in the case would emerge. A hunter who was out by the West Farms shopping mall found human remains, and police later revealed the remains were not of 1 but 3 missing women. As mentioned previously, it wasn't until 2015 that the body of Arizmendi was found, along with 3 other victims behind a shopping mall. Police were able to build a case against the already incarcerated Howell and charged him for murder, which he was given 6 life sentences. A full confession and insight into the world of the Sick Ripper can be found in the book His Garden: Conversations with a Serial Killer, written by Anne K. Howard. William Devon Howell is currently serving his sentence at the Cheshire Correctional Institute with a minimum sentence of 360 years. Number 1. Farion Wardrop is the perfect example of how the judicial system may fail victims and failed to prevent tragedy from happening again. In December of 1984, Wardrop was working at the Bethnia Hospital in Wichita Falls, Texas, as an orderly after being promoted from janitor for his hard work. 21-year-old Terry Sims worked part-time at the Bethnia Hospital while she was completing her studies at the nearby university. On December 20th, 1984, Sims finished up her shift and caught a ride with a colleague, Liza Boone, to a friend's apartment where they were going to give each other Christmas presents. At around midnight, Boone received a call asking if she would be able to go back to the hospital and help out with the night shift. Boone agreed and told Sims that she could stay at her apartment until she returned in the morning. After working a double shift, Boone arrived back at her apartment wanting nothing more than to get some food and rest. When she knocked on the door to be let in, she was met with silence. Worried, she contacted her landlord, who granted her entry into the apartment. When she opened her front door, Boone was greeted with a crime scene. Her apartment had been turned upside down, and Sims was found on the bathroom floor, having been stabbed multiple times. Wardrop later told investigators that the attack on Sims was random after she caught him rummaging outside the apartment. Wardrop continued on his murder spree until May 6, 1986, when he killed Tina Kimbrough. Kimbrough was just 21 years old and had recently become friends with Wardrop. The pair went back to Tina's apartment where Wardrop attacked and suffocated her. Unable to live with the guilt, Wardrop called the police and confessed to the murder. For the murder of Tina Kimbrough, Wardrop was sentenced to just 35 years in prison. However, he was paroled after just 11. It wouldn't be long until Wardrop was back to the outside world, though as police reopened the case of Terry Sims, along with 4 other cases in the area, things may change. Wardrop was already known to police and quickly became a suspect. However, at the time he was incarcerated in Texas, they didn't have a DNA database to convict criminals, so police had to get creative. After gathering up enough circumstantial evidence and connecting the dots, they waited outside of Wardrop's home, waiting for him to dispose of something that would provide them with evidence. The surveillance paid off, and police were able to obtain a DNA sample from a coffee cup that Wardrop had thrown away. DNA conclusively linked Wardrop to 2 of the crime scenes, while Wardrop himself confessed to 2 of the murders. Wardrop is a relatively unknown serial killer outside of Wichita Falls, and many people may not have heard his name. The community of Wichita Falls and the families of the victims have certainly not forgotten, and that conjures up pure evil in their minds. Wardrop was again arrested and given the death penalty for the 4 other murders. Wardrop is currently imprisoned at the Texas Department of Criminal Justice in Livingston, Texas, awaiting an execution date. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But I've been Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.